Hello, everybody. Are you there? Can you hear me okay? Is everything working? Hi, Sama. Thanks for letting me know. I've just pinned a message at the top of the chat, which has got a form. If you wouldn't mind filling it in, everybody, that would really help me. We're not going to start for a few minutes, so we've got some time to make sure that everything's working. Okay. So do me a favor, everybody, please just hit like or leave me a comment in the chat just so that I know that you're there and that everything is working, that you can hear me okay. Hi, Sienna. Thanks for coming. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a few minutes. Do we need any maths papers? Yes, Sienna. What we're going to do is we're going to choose the paper through a random vote in 5 minutes or so, and then I'll give you the download link and you can download the paper, print it out or stick it on your device or whatever you want to do, and then we can all tackle the paper together. Okay, on the screen there, I'm hoping you can see the screen. Sienna, just give me a yes if you can see my shared screen with that welcome message on it. Sienna, I've lost you. Somebody give me a yes. Reassure me that you can see my screen, please. Can you see my screen? Tell me in the chat if you would. Brilliant. That's great. Thank you. Great. I'm pleased to hear it. You never know at my end. All I get is a picture of me. And so I don't know quite whether it's working unless you guys tell me. So hit like a few times, please. Try and get some more people to come along. We're going to start in 5 minutes when we're going to select the paper at random. And if you were here last week, was it, when we did one of these before, then you'll know how it works. Hi, Freon. Good to see you. And thanks for letting me know it's working, everybody. I'm pleased you can see me. I guess that's a good thing. Right, there's a survey at the top. If you don't mind filling it in, especially give me your email address on the survey if you're doing A-level maths, and then I can send you an email to tell you about my Year 12 study group, which I'm starting in September. Okay, also, when you fill in the survey, if you choose to give me your email address, I can send you an email about future lives. And I can also, more excitingly, send you an email that tells you, hi, Kedek, about my predictions for paper 2, because when we have paper 1 done, paper 1 I think is on a Thursday, we've got almost 3 weeks, 20 days until paper 2. So that means that there's lots of time for me to have a look at paper 1 and see which topics haven't come up and to get my predictions for paper 2 out to you guys, and then you can make sure that you are clear on those topics before paper 2. So this year, hi there, you're very welcome. This year, I'm very much hoping that all of you will get a higher mark in your paper 2 than you will in your paper 1, because we'll have had a chance to make sure that you're clear on the topics that we kind of know are going to come up in paper 2. Okay, right. So please fill in the survey, send a message to anybody you know who might like to join us. And in 5 minutes' time, we are going to select the paper that we're doing today. Okay, wait, is IGCSE paper different? Well, on the paper for IGCSE, there are a couple of topics that won't be in the normal GCSE. So they are differentiation and also one of the circle theorems. So it's not, it's still worth you being here, but we're going to do an IGCSE paper. An awful lot of it will look dead familiar. Okay. KDAT will know which one we're going to solve in 4 minutes time when we all choose one randomly, so then we can all get a chance to print before we start it 5 minutes later. Okay. So just to reiterate, if you're just doing GCSE, it's still worth you being here. Okay, right. So anybody you want the equation for a circle? No, you don't, Juliet, though there might be a question which involves an equation which you might know is the equation of a circle, especially if you're solving quadratic simultaneous equations, but it doesn't matter two hoots. Okay, yeah, it's absolutely okay for Edexcel GCSE, but if the paper that we choose, Jasmine, has any differentiation or a certain circle theory on it, then you can ignore that question. The paper we're going to choose, the paper, if only I'd written something on the screen to explain that we're going to select the paper in 4 minutes time, and then I'll give you a link, and then you can print it out. Okay. So have a read of what's on the screen there. Fill in my survey, please, please, please. And if you are taking A-level, definitely give me your email address in the survey, because then I can tell you about my Year 12 study group. And even if you're not taking A-level, fill in the survey, because it will help me. You can give me your email address, and then you will be the first to get my prediction films for paper 2, which is 3 weeks after paper 1. So we have so much time. Anybody here from overseas? I'm in the UK. Maybe tell us in the chat if you are in a different country. Have we got anybody from, I'm hoping we've got some Dubai folk here, perhaps? Nobody, everybody's in the UK, are they? Oh, good for you. Good. It's good to have you with us from UAE. You know, right. Good to have some Dubais. Excellent. Oh, no, I used to work in Kenya. I used to work at the Banda School in Nairobi, but that was a time ago. I'm guessing, well, the Banda doesn't do GCSEs anyway. So I'm wondering where you're at school if you're doing IGCSE. Otherwise, I'm guessing most of us are from UK. Anybody from HCS? Anybody from a school I work at here? Hit like if you are. There was quite a lot of consternation at school today because it's my wife's birthday, and apparently that means I'm not supposed to do a YouTube live. Hi, Sienna. But I seem to be here anyway. Oh, that's good. I'm pleased. What, do you mean GCSE rather than IGCSE, Sienna? Okay, we are going to start in a couple of minutes. Is there anybody you know who might like to be here? Send them a quick WhatsApp. If so, send them the link. Oh, you're in Mombasa, are you? Which school are you at? Is this going to be calculator? Yes, Jasmine. I should have said that. If you normally do GCSE, then you have a calculator and non-calculator paper, but every IGCSE paper is calculator. So we know it's going to be a calculator paper. Okay. Right. I'm feeling like it's a minute to go. I'm just going to shut my door and then we're going to choose the paper. Okay. Right. Do not vote yet, please. But let me explain to you what we're going to do. So, there are 4 papers to choose from. Okay. Some of them, well, number 2 is crossed out because we did that one last week. Okay. Now, you can see one of the papers is a 1H and the other ones are HR. That makes no difference to any of us. HR are the regional papers and the H is the one that's set in the UK, but it's exactly the same syllabus, very similar questions. It just makes no difference, okay? So don't get hung up on whether it's an H or an HR, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to have 60 seconds, and during the 60 seconds, you can each type either 1, 3, 4, or 5 in the chat. Please only vote once. Okay, 1, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to do a quick tally, and that way we'll have chosen the paper randomly. Okay, so could you please type only once, please, 1, 3, 4, or 5 into the chat. Let's do it, because then we can choose the paper randomly. Yeah, summer's the same as June. That's right. 3, 1, 3, 1. Only once, Ronaldo. Only once. Stop winding me up. 3, 5. Only once. Please only vote once. Choice. Jasmine doesn't mind. No, nor do I, Jasmine. They're all the same. Okay. Well, they've all got the same stuff on them anyway. Sienna's a 4. Louis a 3. Hi, Louis. Frost is a 3. No, Ronaldo, you have voted many times. Stop it. Noah is a 5. Sienna, I'm sure you've already voted, but still. Right, that's a 4. Choice, you've definitely voted already. Okay, that's a 1. Right, are we almost there? Any more? Any more? Couple more for 1. Okay, right. 5, 4, 3, 2. I've got that 4 in as well, Layla. 1. No more voting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no difference. It's exactly the same, Juliet. This is just a random thing. You do know it doesn't make any difference at all. 2, 4, 6. Right, we're doing number 1, everybody. I know it's very exciting. We're doing number 1. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to paper number 1, which is here. I've got a link to the paper, which I'm going to copy into the chat. Okay, and then you guys can, here is the paper. I'm putting the link in the chat. There it is. I'm going to pin it to the top. Click on the link. You can download the paper and then you can print it out. And yes, Juliet, when revising for paper 1 and 2, it's the same. So there is the paper. I'm pinning that to the top of the chat. Okay, there is the paper. Click on it, print it out, stick it on your OneNote, stick it on your screen, whatever you need to do. Okay, and then in 5 minutes, we are working on the paper together. Okay. Right. With any luck, it's this one. Might have been a good idea if I just check the link. Paper 1H, it should be. June 21, 1H. Let's have a look. First question is something about a plane. Hope for the best. First question. Yeah, good, brilliant. Okay, so you've got a few minutes to print out the paper and make a start on it as well. Okay, make a start. You've done it. Oh, well, I'm sorry for that. This time, see if you can get 100 then. Okay. I haven't done it. I've chosen 5 papers, although one of them I did last week, that I hadn't seen before, because what we're doing here is we're all doing the paper blind. And so I'm hoping it's helpful for you. It doesn't matter, Hassan. I'm going to start at the beginning as long as you've got, the first few pages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle the paper relatively quickly, but obviously not as quickly as I can, because that wouldn't be any use at all to you guys. But I'm going to do it relatively quickly. And when I do a question, I'm going to say aloud, this is a question on whatever. So I'm thinking about this, that, and t'other. And so you can see how I would tackle the question. Okay, and again, I haven't seen these questions before either, so they're unfamiliar to me, just like they're unfamiliar to most of you, and just like they'll be unfamiliar when you sit your real exams. Okay, quite possibly what you need to do, Choice, is you need to get yourself on my mailing list, so fill in that survey and give your email address. Okay, and then you'll be on the mailing list, and I don't send you very much, I just tell you when the lives are. Okay, hi Marcus, I have a feeling you were here last week. I'm not going to give you 5 minutes, but I'll give you 2 or 3 because I've got a birthday party to go to. Right. Okay, now, I'm hoping you are busy printing out. We've got 63 of us. Now, of course, yes, it's my wife's birthday, but don't, I've made a slight scheduling error. How long is the live? Well, I'm kind of thinking that it'll be all over by 7 because I've got people arriving at 7:30, but we'll just see what happens. So basically, we're going to start, say, in 5 minutes. So that's going to be 5:45 UK time. Say it takes an hour and a half, so 7:15-ish. Okay. All right. I'm not sure she's too worried. No, she's had a few birthdays before. Right. Okay. So get printing. Okay. Right. And if you print it, then make a start. Presumably I'll catch you up. Okay. And when I do this, I'm not going to go stupidly quick. I'm not racing, right? But I'm going to tackle it at speed, because then you can see how I think about the questions. And of course, if I end up going too quick and you'd like me to go slower, well, obviously you can ask me to go slower. Can we keep the chat slightly relevant, please? Obviously, you can ask me to go slower, but equally during the live, I think you can rewind, can't you, as you're watching? And of course, you can always watch it again after the live. But if I go dead slow, then you're not going to see how I think about the questions. Okay. Right, Hassan and others, you've got about 2 or 3 minutes, because I really need to start at 1:45. Okay, right. So I've got a calculator. I've got a copy of the formula sheet, because that saves me going to the top of my OneNote screen to find the formula sheet. But otherwise, I am just got my pen, really. Okay. Now, I believe that during the when I'm doing these questions, I won't be able to see the chat, but I will look at the chat every couple of questions in case anybody wants to ask a question or what have you. I'm quite sure that you can ignore the chat while you're focusing on the paper. So personally, that's what I would do. But I'm not going to pay much attention to it unless I'm between questions and I go to the chat. Okay, but please use this as an opportunity to get ready for your exam rather than to talk rubbish on the chat. Okay, 2 minutes and we're starting. Just practice, Joyce, I'm afraid. Just practice. Now, if you haven't printed out the whole paper, then at least take what you printed out of the printer while the rest does it. Yes, and if you've got OneNote, obviously you can work on OneNote like I do, and then you don't have to print it onto paper. Okay, I don't hold it every week, Sienna, though I seem to be, I mean, I held it last week. Get yourself on my mailing list, and then you'll get an email the next time I do one. Okay, all right, are we almost ready? Okay. If you've got it printed out, perhaps you've already started it. Why not? Yeah, there's a predictions film on the YouTube channel. Send me an email, and I will send you the link if you like. Here's my email address. Or what you're probably easier to do is just to leave a comment on this live film and ask me to send you a link to the predictions film. Okay. All right. Okay, it is 5:44 on my screen. I am going to my OneNote page. I can't see the chat anymore. Okay, but I will be able to turn to it now and again. And I'm going to make a start now on question 1. Okay, question 1 and 2, then I might have a quick look at the chat. Okay, so a plane flew from Madrid to Dubai. The distance the plane flew was that. And the flight time was 8 hours and 12 minutes. Well, I'm already thinking I'm going to need to be working in hours here. And so I know that 6 minutes is 0.1 of an hour. So I know that that time there is 8.2 hours, because I imagine that there's going to be a trick with minute and hours here. Work out the average speed of the plane. Distance, speed, time. Speed is the distance, 5658, over the time, 8.2. So the average speed of the plane, look, it wants it in kilometers per hour, is whatever that is, 5658 divided by 8.2. It doesn't say give it to 3 significant figures or anything, so I'm pleased that I've got a number like 690, because that seems feasible. Right, the first 4 terms, right, arithmetic sequence. I'm thinking find out what it goes up in. That's often the case. I'm thinking arithmetic, oh, look, it's one that goes down. So it's going to be minus 6n. Now, what will I have to do to make sure the first term is 85? Well, if it's minus 6n, then the first term would be minus 6 times 1 would be minus 6. And I want the first term to be 85. So I'm going to have minus 6n plus 91. Or 91 minus 6n would be good too. Either of those answers, I'm thinking, will get me my marks. I'm going to carry on because I don't think I've done anything terribly tricky yet. I'm looking at this shape. I'm thinking triangle here. Don't know quite what else I'm thinking. Obviously rectangles. I'm thinking that I know that this length here is 6 because that's 14 and that's 8, leaving 6. And now I think I'm going to read the question. I'm just going to cut this off here as well in case. The diagram shows a shape. Yes, it does. The area is that. Work out the value of x. So I'm going to need to find an expression for the area of this shape. Well, the shape has a rectangle, which has an area of 14 times x. And then there's this green triangle, isn't there? Now, the triangle there. Right, well, I already know its height is 6. Now, its base is that, which is 13 minus x. Base times height divided by 2. And I know that that equals 91.8. I'm just going to check I'm happy with that. 14x is correct. 13 minus x. Height is 6 over 2. Good. So this is going to be 14x plus 3 lots of 13 minus x equals 91.8. 14x plus 39 minus 3x equals 91.8. 11x minus 39 from both sides, 91.8 minus 39. So 11x is 52.8. So x is 52.8 divided by 11, 24 over 5, which is 4.8. Again, I'm pleased that's a terminating number because it doesn't ask me to give my answer to any degree of accuracy. Right, I'm thinking that I'm going to go to the chat now, I hope, but I just want to check that everybody is in one piece. Okay, all right, happy? Okay. Right, now I'm not really going to slow down, but you can rewind the live. Okay, Fatima, you might have got it right, I might have got it wrong. Okay, but you can always rewind the live, and then if you discovered I've got it wrong, then you can tell me in the comments. Right, okay, we are continuing now to look at number 4. This is a ratio question. I can instantly see that. I've got chickens, ducks, and pigs. C, D, P. The ratio of the number of chickens to the number of ducks. Chickens to ducks, 7 to 2. The ratio of the number of ducks to the number of pigs is 5 to 9. There are 36 pigs on the farm. Right, I'm going to write that 36 in my pigs column here. Okay, work out the number of chickens. Right, so I know that ducks to pigs is 5 to 9. And I know there are 36 pigs. That's been multiplied by 4. So I'm going to multiply that by 4. So now I know that there are 20 ducks on the farm. Right, there are 20 ducks. You remember how chickens to ducks is 7 to 2. And now I know there are 20 ducks. So that's times by 10. So there must be 70 chickens. And that is my answer to number 4. And I'm hoping you're happy. I'm about to move on to see what is in number 5. Okay. Expand and simplify. I know I'm going to need to be careful of this minus sign. I see that straight away. And I also know it's only algebra. I need to concentrate and get it right. I'm going to copy it down here because that gives me a chance just to look at it and to think about it while I talk to you guys. 3x minus 2x, 6x squared, 3x times 3, 9x, minus x times 3x, 3x squared minus 5x. Now let's tidy up, shall we? 6x squared minus 3x squared, 3x squared plus 9x minus 5x plus 4x. That is my answer. Right, make t the subject of this formula. I'm going to write it the other way around. At minus d equals p. I want to get those t's on their own. So I'm going to add d to both sides. So at will equal p plus d. Now I only want one t, not a t's. So I'm going to divide by a, So I'm going to end up with t equals p plus d over a. That is my answer there. I'm going to do 5c, and then I'll have a look at the chat. 5c, what have I got here? I've got w to the 5 times w to the n. Well, I know about my rules of indices, don't I? I'm going to add there, the 5 and the n, and that's divided by w cubed. And that gives me w to the 10. Well, if I was working this out, I'd add those indices, wouldn't I? So that would give me 5 plus n for my power of w. And then add minus the 3, wouldn't I? Because when you divide, you minus the indices. And that's got to equal w to the power of 10. Well, in that case, what must my n be? Because 5 plus n, take away 3, has to be 10. So doesn't that mean that my n has to be 8? I think it does. 5 plus 8 is 13, minus 3 gives me 10. So there is my answer to number 5. Now I'm going to have a quick look at the chat. Okay, everybody all right? I can't see any questions about the maths there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to what paper are we doing? It's pinned at the top of the chat, Annie, okay? The paper is pinned at the top of the chat. Right, I am going back to question 6. So if you're just printing it out, Annie, I'd start printing out question 8 maybe, or something like that, unless you must go from the beginning. Right, this is going to be a probability question, isn't it? I can see that right away. And I know that these probabilities will have to add to 1. I know that straight away. We've seen these questions before. Grace has a biased 5-sided spinner. I see it's got orange, pink, red, blue, and green on it. Grace is going to spin the arrow on the spinner once. The table below gives the probabilities that the spinner will land on red, on blue, or on green. Yes, it does. Red, blue, green. The probability that the spinner will land on orange is 3 times the probability that it will land on pink. Okay, so I know that that plus that plus that plus that plus that must equal 1. So what have I got so far? I've got 0.2 plus 0.12 plus 0.08. So far, 0.2 plus 0.12 plus 0.8. So far, I have got 0.4 accounted for. So I know that these two must add up to 0.6. But the probability of orange must be 3 times that one. So I'm going to have to take my 0.6 and divide it by 4. And then I'll put 1/4 of it on the pink and 3/4 of it on the orange, because then the orange will be 3 times greater than the pink. That's why I split it into 4, so I could have 1 share here and 3 shares there, since orange has to be 3 times pink. So the probability that the spinner will land on orange is 0.45. Grace spins the arrow on the spinner 150 times. Work out the estimate for the number of times it lands on blue. Now listen, this question does not rely on you answering that one. So if you couldn't do part A, you can still do B. So don't miss out on these 2 marks on B. How many times do we think it'll land on blue? The probability of it landing on blue is 0.12, and we'd spin it 150 times. 0.12 times 150, 18 times. And now I'm moving on to question 7. Okay. I've got -4 is less than or equal to 2y, and 2y is less than 6. Write down all the possible values of y. Well, here I've got -4. This is like a sort of three-way equation. I'm going to divide everything by 2, because then I'll just have 1y in the middle. Gives me 3 here, doesn't it? And -2 there. So now I know that y lies between -2 and 3. But importantly, y could be equal to -2. So all the possible values of y, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, not 3, because y must be less than 3. And the bit I didn't read aloud, look, is that y is a whole number. Solve this inequality. Right. Well, I'm going to solve this just like an equation. If I had this as an equation, then I would see which side has the fewest t and get rid of them at -2t from both sides. So I'm going to do exactly the same, even though this has a less than or equal sign in the middle rather than an equal sign. So I'm going to have 5t minus 3 is less than or equal to 31. Now I'm going to add 3 to both sides, just like I would if it was an equation. 5t is less than 34. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 5. 34 divided by 5 gives me 6.8. So importantly, the answer isn't 6.8. The answer is t is less than or equal to 6.8. And that is question 7 done. And I'm going to pop over to the chat just in case anybody's saying anything useful, which I'm not sure they are. If you've just joined, the paper is at the top of the chat. Okay, pinned at the top. Okay, still looking for something useful. Nothing there yet. So I'm going to go back to question 8. Okay. Question 8. It's going to be standard form. Look at it. The table shows the populations of 5 countries: China, Germany, Sweden, Fiji, Malta. Work out the difference between the population of China and the population of Germany. Give your answer in standard form. Right. What is the population of China? 1.4 times 10 to the 9 minus. What is the population of Germany? 8.2 times 10 to the 7. Now, I'm going to try that on my calculator and see if it simply gives me the answer. So I've typed in 1.4 times 10 to the power of 9 minus 8.2 times 10 to the power of 7. Now I'm going to press equals, and it's given me this answer, 1318, and then 2, 4, 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the answer. I just need to give it in standard form. 1.318 times 10 to the power of 9, I think. Okay. Given that the population of Fiji is a eighth of the population of Sweden, work out the value of k, giving your answer to the nearest whole number. So we want to know what fraction of the population of Fiji is the population of Sweden. Okay, so let's have a look. Well, the population of Fiji is 9 point. Sorry, we want to know what fraction of the population of Sweden is the population of Fiji. Is that what I said? So, population of Fiji is that. Population of Sweden is that. So I'm going to do the population of Sweden divided by the population of Fiji. So 9.9 times 10 to the 6. Now be careful. When you put this on your calculator, you're going to need to use the fraction function or put brackets around your 9.1 times 10 to the 6. I'm going to use the fraction function. 9.9 times 10 to the power of 6 over 9.1 times 9.1 times 10 to the power of 5. I'm doing things too quickly. Okay, what does that give me? It gives me 10.879. Give your answer correct to the nearest whole number. K is 11. The population of Fiji is an 11th of the population of Sweden. Okay, I'm going to move on now to number 9. Factorize fully. Right, so I'm just turning off my phone. Factorize fully. So what is the highest common factor of those expressions? Well, it's going to be 5 because of the 25 and 45, a to the power of 4, c to the power of 3, and d isn't in both and h isn't in both. That's going to leave me with 5 there, c to the power of 4 and d, plus 9 times a to the power of 5, h. Now, before I go on, I'm just going to check that there's no remaining common factors between those two expressions in the bracket, because if they were, I wouldn't have pulled out the highest possible expression there, and there aren't. So that's my answer. Solve this equation. Right, one step at a time is only algebra. 2x plus 5 squared means 2x plus 5 times 2x plus 5 equals 2x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. Right, multiply out those brackets. 4x squared plus 10x plus 10x plus 25 equals, multiply out these brackets. 4x squared plus 6x minus 2x minus 3. Tidy up the left. 4x squared plus 20x plus 25 equals, tidy up the right, 4x squared plus 4x minus 3. Let's subtract 4x squared from both sides. 20x plus 25 equals 4x minus 3. Equation with x's on both sides. See which side has the fewest and get rid of them. So 16x plus 25 equals minus 3. Minus 25 from both sides. 16x equals minus 28. Divide both sides by 16. 28 divided by 16 equals S to D minus 1.75. And that's my answer for question 9. Now, I can already see what's going to happen with question 10. You need to get this under your belts. Look at this. Well, you read the question. I'll be quiet for a minute and have a quick look at the comments. You read the question for question 10. Okay. Read the question for question 10 and see if you know what's the immediate bit of maths that you need. Okay. What's the immediate bit of maths? It says Jethro has sat 5 tests. Each test was marked out of 100, and Jethro's mean mark for the 5 tests is 74. Right, if the mean mark for 5 tests is 74, you immediately know the total of the marks on those 5 tests. You know that his total on the 5 tests is 5 times 74. So 5 times 74, you know that his total is 370. Okay. Jethro has to sit one more test, and he wants his mean mark for all 6 tests to be at least 77. So what must his total be on those 6 tests? He's going to do 6 tests and he wants the mean to be 77. So his total on the 6 tests must be 462. So now how can we work out what he needs to get on the last test? Well, we've got the total on the first 5 tests and his required total after 6 tests. So what he'll need on the 6th test is 462 minus 370. He'll need 92% on that test. I'll leave that on the screen in a minute, and I'm just going to come to the chat because I know that some of you are keen that I slow down, but the idea of this is that I do it at speed so you can think along with me. You can always rewind the live, okay? All right, and equally you can always ignore the chat, everybody. So you can always rewind the live, okay, and watch it again. or if you want me to do a run through at a more easier pace, at a slower pace, then there are lots of run throughs on the YouTube channel. Okay, so I'm going to continue as I am. Okay, right. If I were one of you concentrating on the maths, I think I'd be ignoring the chat. Here we go. Number 11. Right. Let's have a look. Now, in this question, we're going to be working in base 2. I've got root 2 there, which is 2 to the power of a half, times 16. Now, 16 is 2 to the power of 2, 4, 8, is 2 to the power of 4. And it says that that equals 2 to the power of x. Now, if you take this left-hand side here, if you multiply those two things together, you're going to add the indices. So on the left here, we'd have 2 to the power of 4.5, or 9 over 2. And that equals 2 to the power of x. So x must be 4.5, or 9 over 2. So that's my solution for that. Let's have a look at this one. Now, we know our rules of indices. So you know that 11 to the power of minus 6 raised to the power of 5, you're going to multiply those indices, right? So that equals 11 to the power of minus 30. And we're dividing by 11 to the power of 4. Now, what would 11 to the power of minus 30 divided by 11 to the power of 4 be? Well, remember, you'd subtract, wouldn't you? You'd do minus 30 minus 4. So it's going to be 11 to the power of minus 34. And so n is minus 34. And that's my number 11. Okay. Moving on to look at number 12. The diagram shows a sector of a circle. Right, I'm thinking area equals pi r squared. C equals pi d. Okay, I'm thinking fractions of a circle. I'm thinking that's 50 degrees out of 360. It tells you the radius is 7, and that's marked on the diagram. Work out the length of the arc of the sector. It wants to know this red length. That's what it wants to know. Well, if I were to draw the whole circle, then, not very good, that, I'll try again. If I were to draw the whole circle, then remember that has a radius of 7, right? Then the whole length of that red line, the whole length of the circumference of the circle would be pi times diameter, pi times 14. Now, in our case, we've only got a certain fraction of that. We've only got 50 360ths of the whole circumference. So the length of this sector here is going to be 50 over 360, use the fraction function on my calculator, times by pi times by 14. And it asks me to give the answer correct to one decimal place. So I'm pressing S to D on the calculator. I get 6.10865 and so on. So to one decimal place, I get 6.1. And that is number 12 done. Just looking at the chat. Okay. Is there anything I can help with? Okay. Right, I'm going to move back to number 13 now. All right. No, I'm not sure I am wrong, actually, because we're working out the length of the arc. So we're dealing with the circumference of the circle. Okay, so I think in this case, I'm using the formula C equals pi d. So it's P equals pi times 14. Are you okay with that? It's not 7 squared because I'm not working out an area. I'm working out the length of the circumference. So I'm using the formula pi d. Okay, where you minus 2 from the sides and times by 180. Gracie, that's the formula for the sum of the angles in a polygon. Okay, right. Which formula? Oh no, you have to know about the sector, Paulina. Okay, you have to know your circle formula is written in blue there, and then you have to know that you're just dealing with a fraction of the circumference. All right. 2 pi r I could have used, which is the same as pi d. Okay, I'm thinking I'm moving on. All right, everybody happy with that? Here we go. Right, back I go to number 13. This time, after third, now from now on, I'll go to the chat at the end of every question, just in case there are questions, okay? I've got to expand. I've got to do 4x times 3x plus 1 times 2x minus 3. Now, ignore that for a minute. If I was doing 2 times 3 times 6, I could just do 2 times and work that out, couldn't I? 18, and then I'd do 2 times 18. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work that out to start with. So I'm going to copy down the 4x and open a big bracket. Right, I'm just now multiplying out, expanding those 2 brackets I've highlighted in yellow. 3x times 2x, 6x squared. 3x times minus 3, minus 9x. 1 times 2x, 1 times minus 3. I'm going to tidy up what's in that square bracket. 6x squared minus 7x minus 3. And now I've got to this stage. I'm going to do 4x times that bracket. 4x times 6x squared is 24x cubed. 4x times minus 7x minus 28x squared. 4x times minus 3 minus 12x. And I'm going back to the chat to see if anybody needs a hand. Okay. All right. Nobody seems to be asking me anything about the maths. So I'm going to carry on unless anybody has a question about number 13. Okay, maybe hit like if you're ready for me to carry on, please. Hit like if you want me to carry on. Thank you. I'm glad I got it right. Hit like and I will carry on. Okay, well, I'm just going to assume that you're ready. Okay, here we go. Number 14 coming on. Here is a number of goals that Henry's team scored one summer. I'm thinking, do I need to put them in order? Are they already in order? They are already in order, aren't they? Find the interquartile range of the number of goals. How many goals are there? Sorry, how many matches are there? Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I know that this one is going to be the median. I can check it's the median because it has 5 one side and 5 the other. Right. So that is the median, circled in red. I want the interquartile range, so I'm going to have to find the upper quartile and the lower quartile and find the difference between them. Now, look at that first half. Look at these guys. Find the one in the middle. That is the lower quartile. And then look at the top half. Look at those guys. Find the one in the middle. That is the upper quartile. So the interquartile range is 16 minus 9 is 7. And I'm going to the chat briefly to see if anybody's got anything they want to ask. Okay. Right. Moving on to 15. Circle theorems. Right. I'm thinking, by the way, the intersecting chord theorem does not appear on this question, so this is relevant for normal GCSE as well as IGCSE. I'm thinking circle theorems. I'm looking at that diagram. I've got a tangent and I've got a radius. So I'm instantly thinking that I know that's 90. Okay. I'm also thinking that that's the angle at the center and that's the angle at the edge. And I know that that one will be half of that one. So I don't know if that'll come in useful. What else can I see? Oh, I've got a quadrilateral. Look, that's a quadrilateral, right? It's 4 sides. So I know that all the interior angles will add to 360. Now, I have no idea what this is going to help me with, but let's have a look at the question now. PQ and R are points on the circle center O. Yes, I can see that on the diagram. TRV is a tangent. Yes, I can see that on the diagram. Reflex angle POR is 238. I can see it on the diagram. That angle is 60. I can see it. Calculate the size of angle OPQ. They want me to work out this angle here. That is my target angle. Give a reason for each stage of your working. Now, how many marks are there? There are 4 marks. So I would guess there would be 2 marks for getting the answer right and 2 marks for showing your reasons. Okay. The first thing I'm thinking is that that's 90. TRO equals 90, tangent and radius. There we are. Now I'm thinking that that angle there is 30 because then the whole thing is 180. So now I'm thinking QRO equals 30, 180 on a straight line. Okay. Now I'm thinking I can find this angle. POR is 360 minus 238 because its angle's about a point. 360 minus 238. So that angle is 122. So now I'm thinking I know this angle at the top. PQR equals 122 divided by 2, and in bracket, which is what? What is that? Divided by 2, 61. And in brackets, I'm writing angle at the circumference is half the angle at the center. So that's 61. And now I can work out my target angle, which is OPQ. And it's going to be 360 minus 61 minus 30 minus 238 because there are 360 degrees in this quadrilateral here that I'm drawing. I know that all 4 angles in that quadrilateral have to add to 360. So I've got 3 of the angles, so I can work out the 4th by doing 360 minus 61 minus 30 minus 238. Gives me an answer of 31. And that is question 15 done. Anybody got anything to ask? No? Okay. Right. I'm moving on. Number 16. Use algebra to show that the recurring decimal that equals that. Start with x equals, leave a gap. 0.2813131313. I've got 2 digits recurring there, so I'm going to look at 100x. And I'm going to multiply this by 100. 28.131313. Now, if it's worked, then I should have equal digits lined up underneath each other, and I have, look. So multiplying it by 100 was a good idea. So now I can do my 100x minus 1x, so 99x there. And on my calculator, I can simply do 28.13 minus 0.28, because all the other columns will knock each other out. And that gives me 27.85. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 99 to give me x. And on my calculator, I've got 27.85. I'm going to go divided by 99 equals, and it gives me the answer 5571980, which is what I was trying to get. So I've done it, and that's question 16. I'm going to do question 17, and then I'll answer any questions. Question 17. Use algebra. Right, I'm already thinking n is any number, 2n is an even number, 2n plus 1 is an odd number. Okay? Use algebra. Prove that any 3 consecutive even numbers. Well, let's just write down 3 consecutive